This is Gerald Johan van Waas educational channel related with the book Sound in Form, also in 2 volumes available as Development of the Word and the Application of the Word, and they are available at Trafford. In this video I will give some attentions to the use of time and space and the movements of time and space which you need to fully explain the certain words when you change them from word into a form and into a meaning, and in the analyzing how the letters are connected. My theory is about how the words have a real meaning and they can be analyzed by analyzing the letters and how they are combined. And it is you can use it intuitively. You can also use it more in a mathematical way. But one of the things that you need in certain letters is, of course, the element of time and space. And I will, in theory, it's also about, some of the letters are about the 4th, 5th and 6th dimension. These dimensions are almost impossible to understand if you try to explain how they work. There are displacements of time and of space. But if you have examples where this happens, it's actually not that difficult as it seems. And I have some words for it. I used some letters that are that have these connections with these dimensions, because I have a method here that is numerological associations. So they are connected with the numbers 4, 5 and 6, and they also relate to the balance that you can understand by using these also as dimensions. And these are the letters, these are the words that I will use, and I will explain Dutch words mostly, because I was preparing a small lecture, and I will use these words for it: dak, dal, lek, mak, mok, bol. 2 English words: fact, pact. 2 more Dutch words: pal, pal, and jat, a French word. I'll try to finalize this video in half an hour. I only have half an hour to make this. So the letters that are in the order of the numerical order, the first 9 letters are actually more simple, because they are all about situations, about orientations that occur in the 3 dimensions. So even if you use them mathematically and you try to combine them and you use them in a correct way to combine them, come to rather simple terms of orientations, and you see what they are about. This is about the 9 first letters, but I will go to the next level, and these need time and space with it. The first ones, they don't need it. It's just a placement somewhere in space, and that's it. I already explained in one of the former videos that the letters D, N and Y were already using the 4th dimension as the element of time, that something is moving away from the 3rd dimension viewpoint, and it needs the unit of time. This time can be connected in the horizontal, vertical, diagonal plane easily, and then there they will find a connection, and I explained them there as well. So I used examples dak and dal. Dak is a roof, and dal is a dale or valley. Valley is a better word. That is the English word for it. So this is the 3-dimensional space. There we'll start from, and there will start the D form. This is the letter in the 4th level, and I will try to find the word dak or roof. So of course I will make a distance. I will take a distance. It's a full space that there's a distance from. So I'll take the 4 squares and I will make a distance from the normal space, an extension with a distance being taken. And there we'll find A, or the next objective area of focus. And at the end it has to end in a sort of kind of breaking point. The K is a breaking point, which starts from the tension from the D, has a reality in the A, and has a situation where it can break into parts. So compared to the D with this extra dimension, it means it will make a comparison of one space to another space. I will compare the conditions of one space and time with the other conditions in time and space, and I will deal with the breaking point. So what I will do in the D is not just a spatial reference that is connecting, like you have in the roof with two spaces that you can often see. It's more like the conditions of a different space or that is breaking. It tries to adapt to it. It tries to adapt in two directions that there will not be a breaking point in that case with DAC. So the breaking point is also the diagonal plane, so it is actually also moving to the diagonal plane. The roof is actually visible, but it is actually about things that are associated and compared to two different time and space frames. And that is actually about that breaking point comparison that you have here. And you can see it in the image. If you don't understand what I was saying, you can already see it in the image what it is trying to do. It tries to do something that this breaking point is adapted, that there's an adaptation to this breaking point, and that's what the roof is meant for actually. So the pressure is of course overcome, or it deals with this breaking point. That is what actually is happening in the DAC, and that's what is the word. That is what the word is expressing. The next one, dal or dale or valley, is even better. Starts from the same D, also with the pressure point in two directions. Actually, that's not just going to another space. It's more like a comparison to two time frames and two spaces. Now the end letter is L, so it's a volume. It's a smaller area. So in general, of course, it will be the comparison of a larger of the complete space with a smaller space, or the L at a certain volume. So they compare to regions and time frames, also to moments in time and frames. If you do that, this comparison here, you have this deviation, the comparison of space and moment, is also seen. The results can be seen in the volume, and that is what the valley is about. You compare it actually to a bigger volume, and that's how you sense it into a smaller volume. That is the word dal. It's a perfect description of the word dal, and you can see in this image with time and space included, it's actually a complete picture of what this letter is about. With this actually fourth dimensional frame is there, so it is not that difficult if you have an example. Next series will be more difficult because this will be the fifth dimension, and so these are letters O, E, Z, Z and W, and it's not just points of references that are compared. It's also, you also will have a complete volume that will be moved to another space and time. So this is actually an expression of the fifth dimension. It's a moving plane of time and place. Examples, lek. Mak was not a good example, but I made it, so I will also make that. I made it up quickly, this word, but it is actually mok, which is using one of these letters. So I compare mak with mok and bol. And I will tell you what these letters are about, because these are words that are Dutch. So we'll compare certain. So I will find the volume of the what is happening with the volume in the fifth dimension, or in the movement of time and space, with the first letter, the lek, which is a leak also. So I'll compare a volume with a certain extension, and this extension will lead to the K, so it will lead to, of course, a breaking point. And what will happen, this volume, if I compare it to my first vision where I start from, this volume will be changing position, will change its size, and it will change itself and move to in its fully complete volume, in its material, to a completely different space and time frame, and there it will leak out. It is a simple idea in 3 dimensions. In movement, you can also, in 4 dimensions, you can also understand it, but it's actually already in 5th dimensions, because it's a completely movement of space in time and space together in a complete volume. So in 2 dimensions at the same time, and this will create a new area with new conditions. And there you have it, leak. Next example, MAC. This is only in 3 dimensions, so I will start from the center point, which is extended with all the material that can be added. That's the letter M about. And I end up in the corner, in the edges, so there it will have a breaking point. So all the possibilities of a center point, its maximum, will find a breaking point. That's what the MAC is about. And this is all possible to understand within 3 dimensions. But I will compare with MOC. MOC is, of course, starts from the same M region of orientation. The O will always be about the orientation of, so the edges are a bit stretched to the orientation of an environment, an environmental reach. And also, because it is, the O is also about trying to connect ways to overcome the differences in this area of the surrounding area. So there's a deviation here at the edge, because again there's a K at the end, so there will be a deviation at the edge of this environmental space. O is mostly hollow, and the connections are surrounding it. It's just one connection with a K. It is the deviation into this area. And only with the addition of the comparison where I'll start from and where I will end in the K, so it will end in the 2 points and the K there, then I can understand what is actually the movement from one place to the next. In fact, it is in the next image, the MOC. The MOC is also a cup, the cup of a specific form, this form, and you can't recognize 100% the form in it, except from seen from top maybe, but it's also this movement that you do with it, and this movement is also changing the balance, which is very specific for a cup. All other things that have a different form don't have that. If you take a cup, it will make a nick, a knock, it knocks over or whatever. So this movement can be recognized in here. You can think this is a fantasy, but it's actually recognizable for me by using my theory. Think about it what you want, but this is what I recognize, and I just describe it what I do. Next example, ball. The ball, I will start again from my square point of the outer edges of what I can understand. So I will have a B, an extension on the outside of that is an extension of the volume. And it can be here in 2 parts if you want, and I will even take it further, because the O will be a complete round form, so I'll take all 4 sides here. So this is the B. This expresses the B as seen from the square, and it has this form. That's the form of the B. But I will have to add the next letter, O, so the O is then the complete environment of this extension. So the environment goes up to there, and L will go from the square to the extension. So this is a very small area of extension that is that you can leave over, and here I emphasize it a little bit, which will only be clear if I also add the 5th dimension there. And the fifth dimension, what is it? The movement of time and space. What is moving there? What is the movement of ball? Is the extension from inside towards the outside, and it can reach the O, but it's actually more important is the extensions in progress. It is a progress as a movement in time and space of the volume. So that's the fifth dimension of ball. If you don't express it, it will not be clear enough. As you can see, as you saw in the previous image, you could recognize ball, but not a complete ball. As you said, this ball is not exactly the sphere word. The translation of ball is more like the expansion of the ball. This is a Dutch word of ball, is the expansion from inside, and it also creates a sphere, but the sphere is not the emphasis. It's the, because we also say something is ball, it can even be bubbly, as you like. It doesn't have to be completely round as a circle. So it is correct what I express here in the expression of this word. Last series of the higher dimensions there is about the last series are the letters F, P and G, and here they are becoming more difficult because these letters say that the three dimensions, the three extra dimensions of extension in or the movement in time and space are complete. So there will be a complete deviation or movement away from the normal space with these letters, and that will make it very difficult to express them, but I will still do that. Especially with the two examples that I took, fact and pact, is they make it more difficult because I also have the letter C, and C is the value that from the volume is also in expansion, and it makes it a bit difficult to express them. The F, in fact, if you express it from the square, it is an independent movement, a free movement with the F that can go anywhere if you would like. It will not go anywhere, but potentially it can go anywhere. It's an independent starting point that I will use with the F. With Fa, I will try to grasp it, so I will grasp it from my viewpoint of the square. That's my starting point, and I will watch what it is, the Fa. And fact then will be an expression of workable observation of an independent starting point of movement. It's a bit complex actually with the C and the T, so it doesn't reveal itself how I should actually design it perfectly. So I didn't succeed immediately, but okay, you have already an idea where it goes to, but I will start anew. One thing I can already say, I can immediately see it is about an observation of that this fact is an observation that you can make from your viewpoint, and you see that something is moving, something is changing, and is in between certain values that you can see it. Of course, it's not synonym to truth, and I will go back to that later. It's an observation of something that is changing, but that is not the same. The complexity is almost too difficult to design well, so there's a complexity there. So I'll need some extra advice from myself. How can I express C well without making it too complex? So I will first tell you what the C is about and what it is, how you can understand it well. Compared to A and C, A is actually always the center value of your C. So you start from the center and you start to go towards a certain edges of a certain object. So it goes towards number 1. It's a center value starting from a center focus. That's the A. I already told you that several times. The next level, so there are different levels, is the number 2. So it goes to the number 2. Is also again a center value. This time not from the center itself, but from the volume. So that's the next level, is also about the volume. So it's a center volume of the center value of the volume, and there's a division on our first focus. Now our division is focusing upon the materializing volume part, and it is extending towards number 2. Can I compare both? I have in the middle here the first center starting point, and then the second center point is starting from the volume. It has an effect on the center volume, how I see things, because it will also make possibilities from the center point to extend everything with the volume, thanks to the volume, to the outside, even from the center point of vision. As you can see here, I call it the citrus or citroen effect that you can see here. Citroen, there's of course the citrus, but they also have the French brand, the Citroën, and I found it quite funny when I looked it up. Actually, you can also see the same thing. There's an extension from the center with the volume outwardly. You can also already recognize it there, just like in the citrus. Citrus has as well. The volume is pushed out, and it is actually still coming from the center. The extension of a central value. So it's not just a round or oval form. There is an extension from within. That's the C about. And it is governed, or it is guided by two values that make it enlarge, actually. So that is what is happening in the C. So that I will try to add to my word fact, because I had a too complex form. So I will now analyze it a little bit more in detail. The F and the A, I also noticed both of them, if you extend them, if I use the theory, they have to go to the horizontal plane, so I will do that. And then, but also the C has that, it also goes to the horizontal plane. So I'll already have 3 times in a different level, it extends itself to the horizontal plane. So I have a very large full plane of a horizontal plane, and that mostly says that I have here a 3-dimensional plane, then let's say, where something is happening. So it is the differences with all the dimensions, especially the higher dimensions, is the first higher dimension is a deviation which is temporal. The second one as well, but if you have that 3 times, it's no longer temporal. You already have something to achieve. So you achieved something in the 3-dimensional plane, and it's becoming real. So the T is nothing more than a notice that something has become real in this fundament, because there's too much going on that you see there is a room for it, there's a place for it, even if it's outside yourself. And if I compare it with my first foundation of myself, this in this color purple here, then I found here that the fact is between my original viewpoint in my 3-dimensional world, there's something, an extension somewhere else. I recognize something, a temporal forming 3-dimensional horizontal plane where something is coming out. And notice that this element that emerges here, it is a peak value, of course, the peak value of something that you notice, and that says this is becoming real. This reality, this real thing, is not something that you can identify yourself from your own center. It is just only something that you observe. And so it's you notice a change in time and place, in another time, in another place, and that you can compare to now. That is something actually what is the reality of this. So a fact on its own is actually an observation. It's not not same as realized truth of what you think about things. So it is actually very contradictory that we notice nowadays fact checkers and people who say, like, I have this fact, which only most of the times just try to oppose an opinion. Fact is an observation, so leave it like that, describe it, follow it, and then because there's a change going on, the reality of it is, the complete reality is the horizontal plane where it can live, but what is vertical, the highlight, which is highlighting out of it, is something that you observe, but which is not realized yet. So it can't be confused with truth in that matter. So it is, of course, it's observation of what is happening, of the change. That's just what I can use it as a work plane, which is real, but the factuality of the observed is more in the noted facts that are there. So of course, it's a little of philosophy that comes out of the theoretical investigation. So you can be skeptical about it. No, it doesn't matter. But it is actually a description of the letter combinations in the word. Next one is pact. So again, I'll use the P. So the P is the next letter. This will not be about the movement of a point as a result, but it will be the movement in time and space of a complete volume. So as you can see here. And this is also an independent region where I will focus upon. So pact, actually, if I make it quickly, this is there are some extensions, and an extension, of course, from my point of vision, and I will see that they are in between certain values, that there is something moving, but you cannot express it very easily from one point of view. This is the most easy way to express it. That's the most easy way how I expressed it, and it has also an impact. So you have also not just the pact on top in two directions and two values that influence each other. You also have the impact, if you would like. And the pact itself, you can find images of a pact on the internet. It's of course a binding agreement. This binding in the image is not so clear except as an impact, but the binding aspect, for me, I think it more or less leads to not the impact that it has, but on the dependency of the two parts, that you cannot express it very easily differently. But I will try to express just one side. And if I do that also then I will come, but because of the C, I have to have a comparison, and I have to have a cooperative reach of values. So one of them is maybe your own input, but the other is the output somewhere else. Then I come to the value. There's a cooperative reach to come to the value. Comparable, of course, to the Pac-Man that you can see here. So this one reaches our value by coming to an agreement that we have reached something together. Yeah, you can express it a little bit like that. Another way to express it, I tried it one more time. So without impact, it is also possible to express it only with the expression of the pact itself. So we have a region of volume that we can try to define. So there's of course this moved, and the focus of comparison that I put here is not necessary, but I'll put that from my point of view, and a certain reach of cooperative values because of the C. Once more, so moving forward, and then the adaptation to these cooperative values, and a displacement in time, of course, also at some point. And then the changing values of the content somewhere in time and place. So it will move to something in time and place that will have a cooperative value. And that's actually what the pact is about. So the binding element actually is not necessarily the impact. It will have an impact, but it is more like the values there are worked out in a certain dependency. In fact, these values are not possible that you can, from one point of view, control them. They are outside your own time and place. As you can see, a depending adaptation. That's what I try to express here in the word to make it a bit more clear. It was one of the more difficult words, but I still was able to express it. With the two hands, I added them as well to make it more clear. And as you can see, there's a counterbalance and a balancing out of values. So this, what I describe here, just a little bit more. The description I hope it helps to understand what is in the letters, but also what is in the meaning of the word pact. We know the meaning, it is adapted to each other, deliberately a little bit, of course, as well. And it was a bit more difficult word. I will therefore use some more simple words now. Okay, my 15 minutes are gone, so I will add some extra minutes. I don't have much more time otherwise. So the next letter, paal and paal are two Dutch words. Paal is meaning right, straight, firm, something like that's a Dutch word, and paal is it exists more or less in a similar word pole in English. I know that paal as an English word exists as well. It's expressed a little bit different, but I'm not going into that, but it will fit as well. If I had the time, I will explain it as well, but it's not this time. We'll use the two Dutch words paal and paal. Use again, I will start again from the P. P is going away from my normal vision, and it creates a new region of space and time. You could say also that there is a pressure that makes it so that something will form itself after a time and after a certain time. So pa, of course, how can I express pa? The a can be the same size as where I started from, but I know I already have to end in L, so in the volume, so it has to start. The chances that it's in a smaller area is more big, and it goes from one region to another one. It's much more likely that you have a smaller region. If something comes out of something, if it's 100% the same size, is almost never, then it's not something coming out of something. So the top image is more likely to be useful, so I will use that one as pa. With the L, of course, we know already we have to end in the volume range and in a certain length in the vertical plane. So this is this, and the effect of it, if I also add the time and space frame, it will also fit to the meaning of paal, namely a direct position on top of something. It is straight, it is fitting, it fits on top of something. So maybe even paal as the meaning of friend, it also means you can count on it because it fits perfectly on top of everything what you have, without that it ever anything is going to a different connection. So it is actually, this form is, let's say, also your friend. Pa with a longer R, we will have more likely the larger area, at least the same size of area, and not a smaller one. With paal you have more, with a shorter R, it's more likely that it's the short area that you come out in it, and with a longer R, it's more the larger one with pa. And paal or pole will then create this form with double R and with also L, a certain volume in it. It can be a little bit wider also if you like, but it's more likely that it's the same size and on the sides as your starting points. Or a bit larger is a bit unlikely. It could be smaller, but this expresses it quite well. And then, of course, the volume is in the complete region of, with a long A, is a bit different. It is the paal of pole is more about erecting with a certain volume and a certain length, so it fits with the word paal. Compared to paal is only something like which is straight on top. The form itself, both forms are more or less the same, but the size is different, and the connection between the start points is also different, and that makes the difference in meaning. Last example, it will be the word jat, the French word. The G, the last letter of these extra dimensions, will be the complete space that is somewhere else independently, but also the movement there will have some independence there. So it has an independent movement at the edge with its own deviation. That's the G with when I deal with the time and space as well. And with my focus, the ja, I will have this one. I will have a focus mostly with a A, it will be upon an object, upon something which is real. And jat then, with a T in the sound, it will create immediately a functional idea on it. So I'll discover a function there. By even writing it as with a double T and an E, it will even be more emphasized that it is about something that you notice. The functionality is emphasized there. What is a jat? It is also a cup, but the cup has this form. In English, it's actually a bowl. Is more what is it? It is also used for a cup, but the cup then more in this form, this bowl-like form. It actually fits quite well with the form, and when you materialize it, if it's really a materializing form. And it's not just the form that this is about, there's also this time and space frame. So there is a movement of time and space, and it's with the strongest focus on the edge. So you do something with it in time and space, and you move the volume with this object. So the movement of the volume, okay, the form of the object is not changing, but what you do with it and what is in it is actually in its completeness, just like the G is the last letter, means you do something with something completely in a three-dimensional movement of time and space. That is also happening. You cannot imagine the 6 dimensions in its completeness, but here you can, because what you do with it is a complete time and space frame is completely changing. It can change all the time, and so you do something in the bowl, you move it, you do something else with it, and you move it again in another time frame, and so on. Only with this time space frame, you understand the word complete in its complete form. Actually, this was Gerald Johan van Was. It was a little bit longer as usual, but I had a lot to explain, and it was a difficult subject. The higher dimensions are actually, I can grasp them because of these examples, and I hope some mathematician will help me to actualize this in some formulas, because you can do that. It's not that complicated, but to describe what I just described in these words, you actually need nothing else than 4, 5 or 6 dimensions to describe the complete process, which is described in these words. Strangely enough, but it is. This was something this not yet explained in it full in my book there, but you can have the foundations also of the dimensions already in the development of the word, or the first part of sound in form. This was Gerald Johan van Was for this time. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, check my website out, and more instruction videos later. Thanks, bye.